Hello and welcome to Quiz Time. I'm your host, Ellen, and today we have 100 questions for the baby boomers. We hope you enjoy it, and please tell us how you did in the comments at the end. So let's begin. Who was the British Prime Minister during most of World War II? Neville Chamberlain, Winston Churchill, or Clement Attlee? Winston Churchill. Which country was split into East and West during the Cold War? Germany, Austria, or Italy? Germany. The USSR collapsed in what year? 1985, 1989, or 1991? (1991). The Vietnam War ended in 1971, 1975, or 1980? 1975. Which U.S. president ordered the withdrawal of American troops from Vietnam? Ronald Reagan, Richard Nixon, or John F. Kennedy? Richard Nixon. The Roman Empire officially fell in 476 AD, 1492 AD, or 1453 AD? 476 AD. What was the main ideological divide during the Cold War? Capitalism versus communism, democracy versus monarchy, or fascism versus socialism? Capitalism versus communism. Which global body was formed after World War II to promote peace? United Nations, NATO, or World Bank? United Nations. What was Winston Churchill's famous speech warning against Soviet influence called? What was it called? Cold War Address, the Iron Curtain Speech, or Curtain Call Speech? The Iron Curtain Speech. Which nation was created in 1948 and remains central to Middle Eastern politics? Jordan, Israel, or Lebanon? Israel. Which country led the Axis powers alongside Germany and Japan in World War II? Spain, Italy, or China? Italy. Which country was the first to leave the European Union? Poland, the United Kingdom, or Greece? The United Kingdom. What was the capital of the USSR? Kiev, Moscow, or Leningrad? Moscow. What country invaded Kuwait in 1990, sparking the Gulf War? Iran, Iraq, or Syria? Iraq. The Marshall Plan helped rebuild which continent after World War II? South America, Europe, or Asia? Europe. The Berlin Wall fell in 1989, 1993, or 1980? 1989. The European Union was officially founded in 1957, 1993, or 1993 with a Maastricht Treaty? 1993 with a Maastricht Treaty. Who was the U.S. president during 9/11? Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, or Barack Obama? George W. Bush. Which terrorist group was responsible for the 9/11 attacks? Hezbollah, Al-Qaeda, or the Taliban? Al-Qaeda. Moldova was once part of which larger political entity? The Ottoman Empire, the Soviet Union, or Austria-Hungary? The Soviet Union. Ukraine gained independence from the Soviet Union in 1989, 1991, or 1993? 1991. The Yalta Conference was attended by Roosevelt, Churchill, and Hitler, Stalin, or Mussolini? Stalin. NATO was created to counterbalance the Warsaw Pact, League of Nations, or Axis powers? Warsaw Pact. What U.S. conflict is often referred to as America's longest war until Afghanistan? The Korean War, Vietnam War, or the Iraq War? The Vietnam War. Who became leader of the USSR after Stalin? Gorbachev, Khrushchev, or Lenin? Khrushchev. What event started World War I? German invasion of Poland, the assassination of Franz Ferdinand, or the sinking of the Lusitania? The assassination of Franz Ferdinand. The British Empire was at its territorial peak in the early 20th century, the 1500s, or 1945? The early 20th century. The Cold War saw a major nuclear arms race between France and China, USA and USSR, or the UK and Germany? The USA and USSR. What was the main U.S. response to 9/11 in Afghanistan called? Operation Sandstorm, Operation Enduring Freedom, or Operation Just Cause? Operation Enduring Freedom. Which Eastern European country joined the EU in 2007 along with Romania? Serbia, Bulgaria, or Ukraine? Bulgaria. The Treaty of Versailles officially ended which war? World War II, the Cold War, or World War I? World War I. What was the name of the US-backed attempt to overthrow Fidel Castro called? The Cuban Missile Crisis, Bay of Pigs invasion, or Operation Rolling Thunder? The Bay of Pigs invasion. What country controlled India before its independence in 1947? France, the UK, or Portugal? The United Kingdom. The USSR's space program launched the first satellite named Vostok, Sputnik, or Luna. Sputnik. The American-led invasion of Iraq occurred in 2003, 2001, or 2005? 2003. What empire ruled much of Europe before being dismantled in World War I? The Byzantine Empire, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, or the Ottoman Empire? The Austro-Hungarian Empire. Who led the Soviet Union during World War II? Lenin, Stalin, or Khrushchev? Stalin. What country was divided into two after World War II? Korea, Japan, or Vietnam? Korea. Which empire fell with the capture of Constantinople in 1453? Byzantine, Roman, or the Holy Roman? The Byzantine Empire. Who famously said, "We shall never surrender" in a wartime speech? Franklin Roosevelt, Winston Churchill, or Charles de Gaulle? Winston Churchill. The European Union was preceded by the League of Nations, NATO, or European Economic Community? The European Economic Community. What is the capital of Moldova? Lviv, Chisinau, or Tiraspol? Chisinau. In the Cold War, mutually assured destruction referred to civil unrest, nuclear deterrence, or spy networks? Nuclear deterrence. Who was the first president of the Russian Federation? Boris Yeltsin, Gorbachev, or Putin? Boris Yeltsin. What pact promised military support between Eastern Bloc countries? NATO, the Warsaw Pact, or the Yalta Accord? The Warsaw Pact. Ukraine was a key battleground in which World War II campaign? North African, the Eastern Front, or Pacific Theater? The Eastern Front. What two countries were at the heart of the Cold War during, nuclear tension? At the heart of the Cold War nuclear tension? USA and USSR, China and Japan, or UK and France? The USA and the USSR. After World War II, Germany was divided into how many occupied zones? 2, 3, or 4? Four. What country used the term Iron Curtain to describe Soviet-dominated Europe? France, USA, or UK? The UK. Which leader implemented the policy of perestroika in the USSR? Stalin, Brezhnev, or Gorbachev? Gorbachev. Moldova gained independence in what year? 1991, 1992, or 1985? 1992. The State of Israel was founded in 1946, 1948, or 1950. (1948). Taiwan is officially known as People's Republic of Taiwan, the Republic of China, or East Asian Federation. The Republic of China. What is the smallest country in Europe by area? San Marino, Vatican City, or Monaco? Vatican City. Which newly formed country emerged from the breakup of Yugoslavia in 2006? Montenegro, Slovenia, or Bosnia? Montenegro. What mountain range separates Europe from Asia? The Alps, the Himalayas, or the Ural Mountains? The Ural Mountains. The Nile River flows into which body of water? The Red Sea, the Indian Ocean, or the Mediterranean Sea? The Mediterranean Sea. Which essential oil is derived from the plant Lavandula angustifolia? Eucalyptus, lavender, or rosemary? Lavender. Amber is technically not a mineral, but fossilized bone, fossilized tree resin, or petrified sap? Fossilized tree resin. The Taj Mahal was built primarily out of which material? Granite, white marble, or limestone? White marble. The word perfume comes from the Latin phrase meaning through smoke, scented flower, or distilled liquid. Through smoke. Which precious metal is traditionally associated with 25th wedding anniversaries? Silver, gold, or platinum? Silver. What gemstone is historically associated with royalty and wisdom? Ruby, topaz, or sapphire? Sapphire. The famous Hope diamond is what color? Yellow, red, or blue? Blue. The ancient Egyptian perfume industry used which common base oil? Coconut oil, castor oil, or olive oil? Olive oil. Which island country has been at the center of diplomatic tensions between China and the US? Taiwan, Philippines, or Sri Lanka? Taiwan. Which river runs through Paris? The Danube, the Seine, or the Rhine? The Seine. What is the national flower of Ukraine? Rose, sunflower, or iris? Sunflower. What essential oil is often used to reduce nausea and motion sickness? Clove, peppermint, or bergamot? Peppermint. Which European capital lies farthest to the east? Kiev, Warsaw, or Prague? Kiev. What metal is most commonly used in wedding bands? Gold, silver, or platinum? Gold. What country of Israel borders which sea? The country of Israel borders which sea? The Mediterranean, Adriatic, or Caspian? The Mediterranean. The first nation to recognize Israel was the United States, France, or the Soviet Union? The United States. Which nation has had long-standing conflict over the Nagorno-Karabakh region? Georgia and Russia, Armenia and Azerbaijan, or Turkey and Syria? Armenia and Azerbaijan. Which essential oil is known for its calming and sedative effects? Lemon, chamomile, or basil? Chamomile. Where is the Dead Sea located? Between Egypt and Libya, between Israel and Jordan, or near Cyprus? Between Israel and Jordan. Which gemstone is a form of the mineral corundum? Sapphire, emerald, or opal? Sapphire. The Great Rift Valley spans which two continents? Asia and Africa, Europe and Asia, or South America and Africa? Asia and Africa. The Rose Revolution took place in which post-Soviet country? Belarus, Georgia, or the Ukraine? Georgia. What essential oil comes from the bark of a tree? Clove, cinnamon, or frankincense? Cinnamon. Which African country is famous for its gold reserves and Ashanti jewelry tradition? Kenya, Ghana, or Senegal? Ghana. The Black Sea borders which of the following countries? Italy, Germany, or Ukraine? Ukraine. Which precious metal is more valuable per ounce than gold? Platinum, silver, or copper? Platinum. The term Carpathian Mountains refers to a range primarily in France, Romania, or Portugal. Romania. In ancient Rome, what gemstone was considered the most powerful? Amethyst, onyx, or agate? Amethyst. Israel's national language is Arabic, Hebrew, or Aramaic? Hebrew. Which oil is known for treating fungal infections? Lavender, tea tree oil, or sandalwood? Tea tree oil. What city is shared as the capital by both Israel and Palestine? That's what they claim. Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, or Ramallah? Jerusalem. What metal is traditionally used for electrical conductivity and jewelry? Gold, silver, or iron? Silver. Vatican City's primary language is Latin, Italian, or French? Latin. The traditional Moldovan folk drink made from fermented plums is called rakia, vodka, or tsuka. Tsuka. Which famous valley in Israel is often mentioned in biblical prophecy? Jezreel Valley, Valley of Armageddon, or Jordan Valley? Valley of Armageddon. The only country in the world with a square flag is Switzerland, Bhutan, or Vatican City? Switzerland. The aromatic resin frankincense was once worth its weight in silver, salt, or gold. Gold. Which essential oil is considered sacred in Indian Ayurvedic medicine? Peppermint, clary sage, or sandalwood? Sandalwood. In which modern country was the ancient city of Petra located? Jordan, Iraq, or Lebanon? Jordan. What country uses the shekel as its currency? Cyprus, Israel, or Lebanon? Israel. Which mountain is sacred in both Judaism and Islam? Mount Ararat, Mount Sinai, or Temple Mount? Temple Mount. Which newly independent country was formed after breaking away from Sudan in 2011? Chad, South Sudan, or Eritrea? South Sudan. And our last question, which gemstone, once thought to protect sailors, is associated with the sea? Ruby, aquamarine, or emerald? Aquamarine. Thanks for playing with us today. We hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.